Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, do you remember our dog Blue?
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, she's that dock jumping dog, a yellow lab, but she can be a little high strung at times. The other day, I went to go give her a treat. I was going to feed her a treat, and she bit my hand. I mean, she bit the hand that was trying to feed her the treat.
Huh. There could be some type of life lesson with that, Jim.
And I think that lesson would be, Steve, if you've got a high strung yellow lab who's very food driven, watch your fingers. I don't know what that has to do with records, but what the heck. So, welcome once again, everyone, to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast where each week we two guys get together and we talk records. It's going to be a fun one today, but my name's Jim and I own a record store. That's going to come into play today.
And I'm Steve, and I am a record collector, and that's going to come into play today.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, is I think what I was trying to say, Steve. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes sense for this episode.
Holy smokes. The vinyl community, Steve, is usually, I mean, it's not like a place you go to. It's a congregation online of like-minded individuals. We've talked about the structure and the folks that make up the vinyl community. Usually, it's a fairly laid-back group of folks, would you say?
Yeah, definitely so.
Once in a while,
especially me.
Yeah, especially you. Once in a while, they get fired up. And when they get fired up, holy cow, things go a little cattywampus, I think is the proper terminology.
Yeah, exactly. And things do happen, and
Yep.
sometimes it works, and sometimes, well, oops.
Well, the vinyl community has been fired up this week thanks to a small record store owner on the West Coast. And if you're unfamiliar with what happened, we will dive into it because it involves a small record store. It involves Record Store Day, Black Friday. It involves the big labels, and it involves collectors like you and record store owners like me. And it ain't pretty.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okie dokie. That was a heck of a tease. Where do we go from here?
Might as well show some records.
All right, that's the way to do it. Each week we do add stuff to our collections, and we got a few more weeks before Record Store Day Black Friday editions maybe begin to hit. But as we do each and every week, let's show some stuff off, Steve. I've got a kind of a quiet week this week, with the exception of one item, but it's provisional. So what did you do this week?
Let's call it a medium week, Jim.
Okay.
Mediano. All right. But we'll have some things that you're going to go, huh? What's that group? So
Great.
That will be fun for you. All right. And the very first one is Harlem River Drive from 1971. Obviously, it's a repress. Excuse me. So Harlem River Drive, Latin, funk, rock, jazz, all thrown in there. I mean,
Okay.
these are the list of all the musicians that play on each song.
Wow.
So there's a lot happening. I heard this on someone's channel that I can't remember whose it was, and I really liked the sound of it. So I went and looked and found this nice repress because an original is going to cost you triple digits up. So I grabbed this, and it's great music. It really is. There is a definite Latin jazz happening, but they get into funk big time with it. Cool stuff. Harlem River Drive. Never had heard of them, but really glad I picked this one up.
That's in several of your wheelhouses with the Latin and the rock and the funk, especially.
Yeah, it is. It just put them all together there. Then another group that you probably have said, man, it's about time you bought that. Cornflake Zoo.
Okay, you're right. I was wondering when you were going to pick up one of those, Steve.
Now, I bought this because it just says Cornflake Zoo. How could you not just go, what the hell? so, as usual, at one time they were called Knights of Fuzz. But then they became Cornflake Zoo. It is a garage rock band out of Sweden. and they never put out an album. It's singles. Came out 2025. It puts all their singles together, but they're from the 80s. But they went into the 90s. This one I had to get from Europe is autographed by the band.
Okay.
So I know, because Cornflake Zoo's pretty big thing there. It has a nice little one of those kind of inserts.
Yep.
It's kind of the old school type thing. Yeah, I like that. And vinyl is just it's black vinyl, but it's good stuff. Sweden really had so much. Sweden had an incredible amount of garage rock in the 80s. I am shocked at how much of it I have out of Sweden.
Wow.
Very crazy, but definitely kind of a psych pop garage rock. I would say psych pop you could throw in there too.
Okay.
Cool stuff.
And you are the king of blind buys of late too.
Cornflake Zoo, come on. I mean, there has to be something about it. Then, since they did put it out on Record Store Day, it came out. Peter Droge put this out himself, and he reissued it. And so I had a couple different members, Michael and Brian. He's out of Maine. They both had texted me, "Hey, you could get that album." It's nice that people remember what I want, so I did. And this is, Necktie Second is the name of the album. Beautiful light blue vinyl. I had this in CD, years ago. I liked it. After playing this, I love it. Okay. As a CD, it was great. It was enjoyable, but just, good. I really love what I'm hearing. And he does even some 2025 versions of this stuff. So side 4, for instance, he had the hit, "If You Don't Love Me, I'll Kill Myself," which was big. But he rewrote it to now is, "If You Don't Love Me, I'll Love Myself." Isn't that nice? I mean, how sweet is that? But it's a really cool acoustic version with slide guitar happening. Sounds wonderful. It really does. So, extremely excited to finally get this into the collection. A nice, I'm glad that he put them out.
That was one of the RSD April titles that got pulled, right?
Yes, it was. It was one that I was really looking forward to getting. And suddenly got pulled for whatever reason. So he just did it himself.
Oh, that's good. Maybe there's a story behind this one we didn't quite get.
Inquiring minds want to know.
He didn't tick anybody off, hopefully.
Well, yes, the folks at RSD, you made them mad. You bit that hand, Jim. Then we had this just reissued, The Soft Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And what we got? Underwater Moonlight. I have wanted this album for years and just couldn't find it. I believe Robin Hitchcock's on here. They had the hit, well, not the hit, but it's on all the compilations. "Wanna Destroy You."
Yeah.
And so many punk compilations. It's on there. And it is a wonderful song. And so this is a beautiful reissue. Well done on more blue vinyl. So blue seems to be the big thing. It sounds incredibly good. Even for my old ears, I can tell it sounds nice. And even came with a nice booklet. Cool. Unlike Record Store Day, who doesn't believe in giving you anything extra for the price. I know, there we go again. They're not going to allow me into a record store probably. But great booklet on the Soft Boys.
Cool.
So super excited this came out. I had forgotten about it. Then another channel had shown it, and I go, "Oh man, I need to go grab that and pick it up." And really happy I did. And finally, my Fuzz Club record of the month, Upu Payama. Okay, Upu Payama. Oh, poo poo. And this is live. This is live at the Fuzz Club. I do have their last album. It just, I don't know. Does that look like Upu Payama?
It phonetically, that's how I'd say it, Steve. I think you're good.
Okay. Well, we know because I'm not very good at phonetics. Oh, it is. It's psych, but really that mellow type flutes going on. Fairly long. Songs. There's 3 songs on each side, and they kind of go on and there is a lot of flute, but the flute sounds good. Sometimes I have a hard time with flute. You put a lot of flute on there, unless you're Ian Anderson. I just kind of, oh. But this did sound nice, and it just has that mellow kind of psych, relaxing, taking you on a little journey type feel. So, Upupayama, and it is live at the Fuzz Club Festival 2025.
Okay, new stuff. I have my work cut out for me finding that one too, I think, aren't I?
That one may be difficult. I'm not sure if they're going to put that out there or not. The other ones, you might. I don't know about Cornflake Soup. That's hard to say, Jim.
We'll see. So, light week on my side this time, Steve. Nothing overly tremendous. This one, I just showed this a week or so ago, and that was Sturgill Simpson's Sailor's Guide to Earth. And after I had that and listened to it and added it to the collection, I got looking at the other Sturgill. I only have a couple of other Sturgill Simpson albums, Sound and Fury and Dude and Juanita. And each of those are on colored vinyl, and the Sailor's Guide I had was on black vinyl. So guess what I had to go do?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course you did.
Go out and get the clear vinyl version of Sailor's Guide to Earth. It's a great album. I do enjoy it. It's very country. It's more country than Sound and Fury, obviously, and less bluegrass than the Dude and Juanita. And I'd forgotten about this last week, but there was a country cover of Nirvana's In Bloom on this. I don't know if I included that on the playlist or not, but I will this time around. So, yeah, that's one of those quirks, right, as being a record collector. I didn't have the colored vinyl version, or in this case, the clear, when I had colored stuff of the other releases from him. So, there you go.
Well, Jim, you really had no choice. You had to do that. Now, if you're a really good collector, then you kept the black one too, just so you have both. But, I got a feeling the black one went out for sale.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm a collector, but I'm also a record store owner, as we say at the top of this. So that one I can put out and listen to this one. I don't have any quirks about listening to the clear. Hey, speaking of sailors,
yes.
I also grabbed a copy. I've seen this come through a few times, and I've listened to it. Steve Miller Band and the album Sailor. We've had some fun at Steve Miller's expense in the past, but this is actually, I think, one of his much better albums. You've got Living in the USA on here, Quicksilver Girl. A lot of good rock on this from Steve Miller. Not as poppy or top 40-ish as some of his later stuff. This one, by the way, what was originally released? Let me go back to my notes here. 1968. So it's got a lot of psych-ish stuff on that. As well. And like I said, I've had this come through, but I've never really found a decent copy. Now I've got one here, and it's actually pretty good. So happy to add that in. 2 Sailor themes. Where do I go with the third?
I used to have that album. I just never really got into it, so I've never brought it back in. It does have me curious again, because again, when you listen to it 20 years ago, it's like, I'm not into this stuff, but that all changes.
And I'm pretty picky about the Steve Miller. Obviously, I've got some of the ones with his bigger hits, regardless of how much I really dislike the song writing. It's still catchy. The tunes are catchy.
And how much I love that songwriting because it's catchy.
Yes. I guess I'm very contradictory all of a sudden here, but this is a cool psych rock album. Blues psych rock, I guess. On the blues side of things, and not quite on the Sailor theme, this actually is Fleetwood Mac and Kiln House, and this is one of the early Fleetwood Macs that I did not have in my collection. So I saw one of these come through, and it's a little beat up, but not too bad. This was Fleetwood Mac's 4th album and released in 1970. Discogs actually calls this is some rockabilly stuff on here and country rock. And I guess I can see that in a few of these songs on here. But this is still pre-Fleetwood Mac, before they got super top 40, but after they were really hardcore Brit blues type of stuff.
Hmm.
So I have to try to remember who, let me see, is on here. Yeah, it's still John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. And Christine
Yeah.
McVie's only involvement is the design of the cover on this. Danny Kerwin, Jeremy Spencer. So you still got that old Fleetwood Mac on here before Buckingham Nicks et al. And Bob Welch and the crew. So I think this is, for me, it's kind of one of those bridge albums where it's blues, but it's not. They're still trying to figure out what they're doing and where they're going as a group coming off of the Brit blues heavy side of their first 3 albums. So, but fun stuff. And oddly enough, I didn't have it. I like a lot of the old Fleetwood Mac. I don't consider myself a completist, but I guess maybe I'm getting close to that. We'll have to see. I don't have a lot of the later stuff though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you on that too, kind of where I'm at. And I do have some of that mid-era stuff before they went big. And I have to re-listen to it and see, does it make the purge or not?
Exactly. It's one of those bands too that underwent so many personnel changes that you're trying to keep up and say and I think they've got so many different sounds that go with the more dominant personalities in the band throughout those personnel changes that it's tough to kind of tag down as well. It's all Fleetwood Mac in name, but is it the blues? Is it the interim with Bob Welch and the guitar stuff? Is it the top 40 stuff with McVie and Stevie Nicks and Buckingham?
It kind of makes that group interesting, as you said, because oftentimes groups try to keep that same sound going, but with Fleetwood Mac, there was just huge turns when they brought in someone new.
Yep, and they still held the name even after some of the originals. Okay, finally this week,
and the fans were going like this.
Yeah.
What?
Finally this week, I've got a provisional ad, and what that means is I haven't made up my mind on this yet. I didn't text you this, Steve. I probably should have, but I had another, not a big collection, 50 some albums, but of the type of thing that record stores like ours never see, that being 80s metal. So our Black Friday outside of the RSD releases and the Small Business Saturday just got a lot more interesting. So,
Is that an OG?
This is an OG Master of Puppets from Metallica. First pressing. The cover's in nice shape. I pulled the shrink off of it. I know I maybe should not have done that, but I did. There was no hype sticker. Solid inner sleeve. Vinyl is not perfect. I'd put this at a good, strong VG+. I've never owned this album. I've got, obviously, copies in the store, and we've had open copies and reissues and the like. And I've listened to it, and I'm familiar with Metallica, but I've never owned a Metallica album before. And that probably says some nasty things about me liking 80s hard rock, but here we are. So I have to make my mind up, and I've only got like 2 weeks, because if I don't, this has got to go out in the wild. And I gave it a listen the other day, and I like it, but I just don't know if I'm going to like it in the collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to take heat from people on that too. Why I should.
I started with the Black Album with them, which I really liked. And the earlier stuff, I kind of, whatever. I have found that I do like their earlier stuff, and it's just stuff I've started to look for. It says, okay, there it is. Obviously, they go for a lot of money, but it does, the earlier stuff definitely has me interested now as I move forward. It's pretty good.
So what you're saying is that I was too busy, and I probably should have texted you about this stuff before announcing it publicly on the podcast that we're going to have an interesting RSD.
Well, just folks, if you felt there was an edit point, there was an edit point because there was something that was said that was before. Don't worry about it though. There's just an edit.
Nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the men behind the curtain. So
Damn you, Jim.
Sorry, man.
Damn you.
I'll make my mind up. Well, I have to in the next couple of days as far as what I'm going to do with that. It's the other stuff though now, Steve. Ooh, buddy. I'll tell you that. And the idea with Record Store Day, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, and how stores like to tag along just some phenomenal used stuff. I do this every single Record Store Day and Black Friday. I save some nuggets from time to time that come into the store and drop them all at once when we've got a lot of visibility. So that's coming up here very soon with Black Friday.
Yeah.
But back to our ads this week. As we do every week, we'll put together a playlist so you folks can hear, hopefully, what we're talking about. And Steve's are always challenging. But
Cornflake Zoo. Cornflake Zoo.
If they're out there on Spotify, we will put them in the playlist where you can hear that. That playlist, by the way, the link is in the description of both the YouTube episode and the Spotify episode. And it'll be down there for you to check out when you get a chance.
I just got to thank all the people that have joined us on Facebook. I think we're up to almost 1,300.
Yeah, I see the Facebook.
Facebook.
The Facebook is kind of neglected, and that's on me. I'm sorry. I've got to do a little bit more with that. But
I've started to dig in, throwing some of the stuff I'm listening to on there now and do a little bit better. But there's a lot of ads on our thing.
Yeah.
I go, what the hell?
I'm afraid a lot of the followers we're picking up on Facebook may be bots, but we'll see where that goes. If you're not a bot, if you're not a robot, and you want to just check that out. But yeah, and that goes with the commenting. I think we're doing pretty good on the comment wise on the YouTube channel and the Spotify as well. Spotify, not a lot of comments, but that feeds a lot of other places as we've talked about. But so look for that. So, Steve, as I mentioned, Record Store Day, Black Friday is coming up very shortly as of the recording of this. As a record store owner, I am probably in the next week or two going to be swamped as the titles that we've ordered start flowing in. The excitement builds for the customers hoping to get the things that they want. And the labels, their job's done. They're kicking it out to the distributors to get it to us now in the stores. And then it's up to us to get that excitement level pumped up to the customers who want to come in and get stuff. And you know what? It doesn't feel as electric as it has in the past. Does that kind of make sense to you?
I totally agree. I haven't even done my Record Store Day video yet. I will do it on my limited picks, but I just like having fun with those. So it's more sarcasm involved.
Now, I almost feel like I have to put a little warning out, say, Steve, man, we better be careful talking about this stuff because as we hinted at the beginning of the episode today, you got to be careful when you reach out to bite the hand that feeds you. Because that doesn't work out so well. I mean, my little analogy with Blue, yeah, she's a great dog. I did not ban her from getting treats from me or anything like that, just because she does nip at the fingers, but you just get used to that. She's a good dog. But the overarching sentiment with that, and that's the old adage that says, don't bite the hand that feeds you because nothing good ever comes from it. The worst case scenario, you don't get what you were trying to get, and the person that was going to give you something gets hurt as well. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at with this big controversy right now in the vinyl community with a Record Store Day banning a small record store from carrying record releases. This is crazy. Yeah. This story boggles my mind. And like I said, I'm afraid a little bit, I mean, we can talk on here, but for somebody to get banned from selling Record Store Day items beyond the pledge of not price gouging, selling earlier or reserving is scary to me.
I mean, we obviously always dig into the list. We make fun of stuff that we don't like. Oh, there's crap like that. But it's just, I feel it's almost like censorship when someone, obviously says something you don't like, and then you just pull them off the list. What bothers me most is, they don't tell you why. They don't explain it. You and I, we go through this list all the time, and we have fun with it. Some stuff we'll make fun of, other things we don't. That's part of it. Exactly. So, but to go and do this, whether someone likes it or not, and they could say, well, he said he didn't like the list anyway, so it's no big deal. But then you got to tell someone. You have to say, hey, we're taking you off because of this. And really because someone says something you don't like.
For those of you who may not know what we're talking about, this big controversy erupted on YouTube, and it started on Reddit. I don't really follow Reddit much, but I caught the YouTube side of this. A record store owner in Portland, Oregon, a smaller record store owner, who's got a fairly significant YouTube following. He's got like 50 some thousand subscribers to his YouTube
Hmm.
channel. The name of the store, the name of the channel is Too Many Records. I do have their channel called up if we want to take a quick look at that. Yeah, Too Many Records. And what happened was that the gentleman, Matt, has basically, hang on, I pressed the wrong button again here. He has upset the powers that be with Record Store Day. Is that a good way to put this, Steve?
There is the people high on Mount Olympus, or the gods of Record Store Day, are not pleased.
They are not pleased. And what he did was, this all started with a post. I think we can see it. That's the third video back that he did. And he was a little late, but he posted up his thoughts on the Record Store Day Black Friday list. The exact same kind of thing that you and I do, that you do on your channel, that I talk about here in the store. And let's just say that that was not very complimentary, but I think that it's kind of along the lines of what we talked about. So many live albums, so many Zoetrope picture discs, stuff that maybe folks aren't really looking for or asking for. And then a couple of weeks later, up pops this video saying that this Matt from Too Many Records, tried placing his order for Record Store Day and was told by his representative at the distributor that, hey, I can't sell these to you. You're not on the list. Essentially saying you are now banned from Record Store Day. So it's a very convoluted story, but it goes into, he made the video critical of Record Store Day's Black Friday list. Again, like we did. There was some stuff on there I liked. There was stuff you liked, but same thing with every list. When he went to place his order a couple of weeks later, he found out he was banned. He had a phone conversation with one of the Record Store Day people, one of the co-founders, that he thought went okay, but there was some stuff said, and then it just kind of went downhill from there with bad communication on the part of Record Store Day to this guy posting his video, which got a big viral comeback on both Reddit and YouTube.
Yeah, it did. And then suddenly, guess what? I am going to order Record Store Day. Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah.
His distributor has to tell him, no, you can't.
You know, on the surface, it does. You mentioned censorship, and on the surface, that's kind of what it sounds like. But at that same token, like I said, you and I have been critical of Record Store Day lists in the past. There's stuff we like, there's stuff we don't like. That's par for the course. I'm scratching my head as to what's different about what Matt said on his channel versus what we've talked about on this podcast. And the only thing I can think of is that he's got a bigger reach with the channel and the Reddit threads, and maybe that rubs somebody the wrong way.
Yeah, it very well could be. Again, you're right. He has, he's been around 10 years. I used to watch his videos. I haven't watched them in a long time. But, it's still just kind of funny that they would go do that. It wasn't like the whole world watched that video. No. I mean, it was like 13,000 views. That was it. So.
And it seemed like tremendously reactive on the part of Record Store Day. And I want to get this out here, too. The only thing that we've really seen is Matt's side of this. And, yes. I'm an old news guy. I used to do television and radio news, and I know that there's two sides to every story. Mm-hmm. The problem being is that Matt's got his platform. He kicked that out there, and folks reacted to that. And there's no other side of the story coming from RSD. They are notorious, Steve, they are notorious for being difficult to communicate with. I'm saying that from my standpoint. I've talked with the folks from Record Store Day a couple of times here and there and exchanged emails back and forth with them, but it's pretty difficult to get through sometimes.
Sure. And just maybe they're overloaded with everyone coming in with all the record stores, because you think about the amount of record stores that there are from when they started to how many there are now. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Oh yeah. It's a big thing too, because it's not a Record Store Day as an organization is not a business. They're not a for-profit business in the sense that they're out there selling a widget for you to take. They're kind of I did some research. I think I shared that with you too about, where they are as an organization. They're funded by kind of a business structure of other organizations that help them.
Mhm.
And they get their money to administer essentially Record Store Day from sponsorships and licensing. There's a little bit of merchandising in there, but I think that's negligible, to tell you the truth. I've got a Record Store Day t-shirt somewhere, but that's not much at all. But the main bulk of how they operate is through licensing. And I didn't realize this, but they do get licensing monies from the labels to include titles on the Record Store Day list. I mean, that makes sense, but at that same token, it's a little weird.
Well, it's kind of, no matter what, the labels are going to decide what's going to go on Record Store Day because they have to put their money into it. They have to press it.
Yep.
They have to then shut down, pressing other albums because of this Record Store Day stuff. And the labels, they just don't want to put out stuff that no one's going to buy. They like to be kind of safe with it because, they have their own they have their shareholders.
They are the business end of things. Yes.
Yeah, they are. They are the business end, and they're going to really look at that. And that's where you've seen Record Store Day change.
Yep.
And Record Store Day, I know Matt was saying it's not like 2015 when we did Record Store Day. And I was doing Record Store Day in 2015, and where I was first in line at 4 a.m. A couple years later, suddenly they're coming in at the night before. And I mean, Record Store Day began to change. It morphed, and now it's totally different. There was one year, and this was somewhere in the mid-teens. I spent almost $1,000 on Record Store Day.
Yeah.
I went to 5 different stores in Detroit, and I came through. My wife had no idea, obviously. Better bring this in at night when she's in bed. She also said, "Oh, go have fun. Go have fun." All right, yeah.
Funny, your little record store thing.
Exactly, but I don't do that anymore because those titles were more for in 2015. Collectors were going.
Yep.
Now it might be my daughter-in-law who likes Taylor Swift's going to go. She's not a collector. But there's going to be something there she wants, and they're going to drive that business because they're making 10,000, 20,000 of that album to get them in. It's not a collector's thing. So I look, and it saves me some money because there's not as much in there I need. That's okay. It's a different world.
It is. And I think when we look back at the videos, that they're in my kind of recap of this, there's 3 videos in this melodrama that's taking place. The first was his Record Store Day, where he kind of talked about the Black Friday releases and was critical of them. And again, too many zoetropes, too many live things, stuff that people may not want. The second of those videos was his announcement that he had been banned from participating. He could no longer sell Record Store Day material and the reason was just there. They did not give him a reason, no matter what he did, and tried to get some info out of that. The third of these was, and this one I just dropped to you, this changed our content a little bit as of this morning because this popped up the day before we record, was that he had gotten a response from Record Store Day, kind of. It was not a direct response, but one of the fans of his channel took it upon themselves to email the generic Record Store Day email address, and let's just say was very colorful in their language.
They were forthright.
Yes, lots of F-bombs and up yours type of thing. And this not on behalf of the channel or Matt and Too Many Records, but just as a general, I'm a viewer and I'm upset because there's a lot of that kind of, I'll use the term hate speech kind of going around on there. So this person sent Record Store Day proper an email and just ripped them a new one for banning Too Many Records from Record Store Day. And then Record Store Day replied to this email, this gentleman's email, just the viewer's email, but copied Matt on the reply and wrote, as he called it, a large manifesto answering this kind of anonymous viewer's points, the profane points, back. But they copied Matt on it. So for me, this is like, they're not handling this in a very good fashion that makes them, and I'm talking about Record Store Day as an entity, they're not handling it very well.
No, they're not. It's just, I mean, it's like, oh God, it's just, hey, just put something out there for them or whatever. But what's going to happen to us? What are they going to
Well,
do?
what's going to happen is this little something called the Streisand effect. And if you if you don't respond to something appropriately, it will magnify. This goes back to Barbara Streisand drawing more attention to something that she didn't want to draw attention to, that blew up in the pre-viral days of something that we would now consider to be viral. And I think the response or lack of response or just the general handling of this situation has blown this up into a larger issue than it probably could or should have been in dealing with one record store owner, one YouTube channel who has been critical of the way things are being done.
And that's why we're here, to make it go even more.
We're talking about it. So there you go. You're right. It magnifies it even further. But the other thing, Steve, and I'm going to toss this out there. This is kind of one of those things. And as I mentioned, there's two sides to every story, and we're only getting one side. This is also the type of thing where I don't believe it's tough to see a good versus evil in this because of the way things are rolling on this. Yes, he put the video out there. He did not explicitly ask his followers to do that, but probably should have known that someone would become unhinged and then send a nasty gram off to RSD. You should have expected something like that. This is it's beyond weirdness where this has gone.
It is. And part again, the thing is looking at the list. So there's a lot of zoetropes, and there was. I mean, we were surprised how many zoetropes. Yeah. But here's just the facts, folks. If the zoetropes from the last record store day sold really well, what do you think's going to happen? We're going to do more zoetropes. Because as we've talked on before, hey, I got Fleetwood Mac here. Let's just do a zoetrope because everyone has every album of it. So give them a zoetrope. And if it sells, it's going to come out because people want it or are willing to buy it.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. Again, going back to the fact that Record Store Day itself, in and of itself as an entity, is not a business. They are tied in with people who are in the business of producing records. And to think for a second that the major labels don't put thought into what they're doing without a profit mind behind it is ridiculous. They're doing stuff because, we made fun of Aha somewhere, somebody, unless it's a relative of somebody at a label, which be careful on that. They're making money. They've got to make money on it. If it makes money, we'll do more. If it doesn't, we're going to stop.
Yep. A live album. Obviously, they keep coming out. Why? People buy them. The completists, they have to have it. They want to have it. But now you just see all this, music for a younger generation, for all these collectors that just started, or not even collectors, people that like music. In the last 5 years, I got a record player, and we're putting that out, and that's where all these numbers are coming from. It sells. And the point was, there was a point, well, then, stores are stuck with all this product and they should do something. Well, they ordered it. Whose fault's that? You can't blame Record Store Day for that they got a bin full of product, because they bought it, sometimes at your expense, Jim, because you have a hard time getting it and they just suck it all up. The big ones, but
we're gonna come back to this big indie store versus small indie store subject in a minute, because I've got some deeper thoughts on that. But one of the things that I think Matt and Too Many Records was trying to get across is the fact that through his channel, through his connection to viewers, through his community, through his just his ability to talk, he has over the past, and again, just like you and I have expressed, I think Record Store Day could do this better. I think they could do that better. And it was a frustration on his part that he thought that kind of comments would go nowhere. And because Record Store Day, notorious, as I said, is difficult to kind of connect with, they've got their closed ecosystem. They're doing this the way they do it. They're doing it with the input of the labels and the distributors and the artists in some cases. It should be that there is some input. And I know there is. I'm not saying there's not. There is input from indie record stores that goes into this entire process. And for whatever reason, Matt felt that his were not getting through, and that frustration bled over into the situation that he's now facing with this.
And that's, a great point, Jim. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know how everything's chosen. And it's not this randomness. I mean, they're out there, they're thinking, they're planning. I mean, again, for profit, what's going to sell? What are we going to sell? Because no business wants to put out a piece of crap that doesn't sell.
No, no, not at all.
I mean, the whole thing is to get people excited about it. And I think Matt's thing was there's nothing exciting. Well, there's nothing exciting for him, but that 20-year-old that comes in, they may be. I mean, how many times in Record Store Day have you seen that line, Jim? Someone comes in for something. It's like, really? Huh? Okay.
Yeah. That gets there too. There's always something for someone, but the risk for record stores is where it gets great. And I think I've confided in you from time to time about, I hope this goes. I ended up getting X amount of these. The big case in point, let's talk Bluey for a second here. The first Bluey release was crazy and they didn't make enough of them. So the next time Bluey came around, they made a crap ton of them. And then nobody bought them, and I got stuck putting them in dollar bags because I was stuck with 15 of them. But again, this is the risk. I thought they would sell as a record store owner. Second time around, they didn't. Third time around, you think I'm going to order Bluey? I ordered just enough to get us by this time around.
Yeah. Yep. You don't. But that's what in any new release you do, isn't it?
Pretty much, always,
yeah. I mean, it's a gamble. A record store owner is a gambler because you got to try to guess what people are going to want. And Record Store Day, when you get those huge lists, and that's kind of where I get mind boggled when that list is so big. I don't get how a record store can even get through that, decide what to go. And some stores just they buy it all.
Yep.
And
well, and this is the other thing.
You're going to have leftover.
This is the other thing that comes around. This Record Store Day in its mission is to promote independent record stores. Now, what constitutes an independent record store? Radio Wasteland is an independent record store. But you know what? So is Electric Fetus. And so is some of these in LA that have 5 different, outlets, 5 different stores. They still constitute because they don't have a wall or a Target or, anything in front of their name that sells other things along. They sell music and records. So the differentiation then becomes between these big record stores when Record Store Day comes around. Heck yeah, we'll order one of everything and then 50 of these. There's a big one down, I think, in Indiana. I forget the name of it. They put out some videos as well that always have crates and crates and crates of Record Store. Now, that's a bigger market. I get it. Midland, along with being a great place to retire, according to something I saw on you, is not a big city. We are not a big city, and there's a record store in Bay City, Electric Kish. There's 2 record stores down in Saginaw, all within 15 minutes of each other. We all get along great. We serve different communities, but none of us are huge when it comes to comparison of these. As a record store owner, I cannot financially justify getting at least one of every single release on Record Store Day. And I think this is what Matt was kind of getting at. The smaller record stores have to be very, very picky about what they get. And there was some parts of this conversation, again, allegedly what this phone conversation happened, where the attitude was given is like, well, it's not our fault if you're not big enough to order one of everything. And that's kind of my take on some of this that I'm seeing.
I agree with that. It sounded that way. The whole point was brought up. You don't buy enough new product; you buy used product. Well, the whole point of a record store is they got used product. Maybe again, it might be more for the collectors.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for. I want an OG. I want something. Then a brand new person to the hobby, they're just happy as all get out to get that brand new release. But the thing. A record store to me a good record store, you have to have that mix of new and used. You know what? I don't think even Noble Records even does Record Store Day. If I remember right, Dylan doesn't even do it because he just puts out this huge stuff of used product that people line up like Record Store Day.
Yeah. And he's big enough to be able to do that. One of the other things that comes into this idea of new versus used, and this also is something that I think there's a bit of a discrepancy in this conversation that goes by. According to Matt in his second video where he was talking about being banned. He claimed that the representative that he had been discussing with on the phone basically was saying, oh, you're not important because you don't sell only new, or you don't carry enough new, and you rely on used records. I have it on fairly good authority that the folks from Record Store Day do understand the importance of used records for independent stores, especially smaller ones. He also mentioned there's not a lot of ability to input. Record Store Day holds this big conference every year. I've never been to one of those where they do meet with record store owners and the labels. They all get together to talk. They're called their summer camp. I've never gone to one, but I did go several years ago to an event called like a Making Vinyl conference where Record Store Day was involved. And I actually got to speak to the co-founders of Record Store Day about the importance of smaller record stores and the used vinyl that we carry. And they were very acceptant of that. They seemed to understand. Now, granted, that was 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer now, maybe 6 years ago. But I don't believe that Record Store Day is, as an entity, and that the organizers are that dismissive of used records being sold at independent record stores. So I'm a little gray on how that part of the conversation went, because he made it sound like they were being very dismissive of any store that sells used. And I don't think that's the case.
Well, I mean, because think of how many stores that is. In the Denver market, we have 2 extremely large stores. We have Wax Trax, we have Twist and Shout. They are the big ones, but there are so many other small ones, all doing Record Store Day, all bringing them in. Now, they have to compete with those where you're going, you want the selection, you're going to go there. But guess what? I go to these smaller ones, and I generally will always find what I want in those also, and along with some used product.
Now, this brings me to another point, Steve, and this was the latest video that popped up again from the Too Many Records channel for when he got the response, CC'd to the angry viewer, but copied Matt in on this. There was a little nugget toward the end of this video that was very disturbing to me, and this goes back to the fact that I say that Record Store Day, or whoever's handling this and getting into this, did not really respond to this the way that they should have. In the fact that in this email response to the angry viewer, they attached a PDF of feedback from independent record stores to bolster their this is crazy, Steve, to bolster their idea that the record stores like what they're doing. Now, according to Matt, I've not seen this PDF. I didn't go digging for it. I haven't had time to do that. But if it is true that RSD attached this PDF, then this is kind of problematic. Every year after a Record Store Day event, we are solicited through our distributors for just a wrap-up. How did things do? What sold better? What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like us to see? Any good business is going to do that, to do kind of an after-action report, so to speak. How did we do? Where can we do better? That's a given. So record stores will send their responses to the distributors, who will then farm that up to the labels and to Record Store Day. Apparently, that feedback, and I've taken part in that a few times. I've sent my responses in like a good record store owner. Sometimes, not all the time. But somewhere this is all gathered into a big PDF report, and Record Store Day allegedly attached this PDF report in the reply to the angry viewer, which then copied Matt on it as well. Now, in this PDF was a comment from what I'm going to assume is a West Coast record store, a large one, lamenting the fact that Record Store Day allows smaller stores to participate in Record Store Day, and they shouldn't. I.e., quote, you should boot these smaller stores off so that we big independent record stores don't have to compete with them. That, to me, if it is true, is very disturbing.
Yeah. And that has nothing to do with Record Store Day on that one.
No.
That just has to deal with a dick of a of a chain.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
But I is it a surprise on some of them? Probably not, because you know what? They're taking away our business. If we get rid of some of these independents, which have grown up all over the place, we get more.
well, and that's the other thing too. You mentioned that these bigger stores that will order one of everything, and then in some cases, 50 copies of something. And then for a store like me, when I'm hemming and hawing whether or not I should get 5 or 10 of these particular release. Well, no, you're limited. You asked for 10, you're getting 3. Yeah. So the big stores still get 25 because they know they'll sell them, but they don't seem to care because they can sit on that product for ever how long because they're a larger conglomerate, where it's tough for somebody like me to say, I've got 5 copies of this left. I've got a lot tied up in it. What am I going to do other than mark it down and basically sell it for what I bought it for? Because it dropped off on Discogs even too.
I've seen some videos of those big stores from the record store. They bring in these pallets of record store dangle. Holy cow. But people will go there. What's my chance? Am I going to get it? I'm going to go there because that's where I'm going to get it. And it is tough when you want 5 and you want to get 3 because someone's kind of sucking it up. And the other thing is, some of it is extremely limited. I have some stuff I want this year. There's only like 500 available out there. My chances of getting it are, almost nil, but it's the way it is.
Unless it's overbought and underappreciated, and then 2 months from now, you'll see them in the bargain bins, or at least still dozens of them sitting there. I mean, that happened, I think, with the Camper Van Beethoven last April. It was tough to get. I didn't keep one because I just couldn't get enough of them. You wander into a store out there and find one. Say, hey, Jim was looking for this.
Yes, exactly. There it is.
There it
That's
is.
the one Jim wants. Yeah.
Thank you,
And
by the way.
you definitely see that. And, again, it was a bigger store. They have a chain of a couple stores. But, and that's the one I generally will go into, and I can find what I want.
So overall on this entire controversy, Steve, I mean, what's your take? Is it good to have these kind of conversations? I mean, obviously, in my opinion, it was an overreaction from RSD to react to this record store, Too Many Records, and say, you know what, screw you. You don't get to carry stuff now. You said you didn't want it, which, again, he said he didn't say that. It's a he said type of thing. Where do we go from here on this? Is there a way to make this so it's not harmful to the vinyl community overall?
The record store day, they overreacted. What they did should not have happened. If you don't like it, you should be free to say it respectfully. What that one person wrote into them, that was uncalled for. But again, it's just the way it is. I have anger issues. I'm just letting it all out on my email. That's not right. When we have fun with it, we do it in a respectful way, but we also find what's important. I think Record Store Day, it is different from what it was. It has to be. If you don't change it, it's just going to die. And so you have to change with the times. And they've done a good job with it. At the expense of me, finding tons of stuff in there that I want. Yeah, of course. That's okay. Because you know what? There's so much stuff coming out now anyway from everything. I mean, look at all your last thing on vinyl. You're just showing new vinyl. They're just adding extra albums into all these old classics.
The Black Sabbath releases. Yeah, that's just it. Who asked for instrumental demo versions of Black Sabbath songs other than a few hardcore fans? And I think I titled that from, gee, that's surprising and it took this long after Ozzy's passing for them to try to milk some of this. But no, I get what you're saying. They're putting out new product, but they're also rehashing so much old product. And it's not just RSD, it's the industry in general trying to milk every single bit of this they can while it's hot.
Yes. While it's hot. You got to do it. And I mean, you are a fool if you don't. If a record company does not do it, it is a for-profit business. You got to get it while it's hot, man.
Lessons learned from this, Steve?
Yeah.
Lessons learned from all of this?
Well, we'll find out when you don't get any of your record store stuff. Jim, that's what we're going to find out.
My orders have been placed. My orders are in. They're shipping next week. But, again, I'll just wrap by saying, Steve, you know what? Do I think that Record Store Day does a good job with what they do? Overall, yes. They're in an impossible position to negotiate between collectors like you and I, the ancillary fans that want to come in for one thing and one thing only, i.e. the Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish fans, and the labels who were saying, we need to make money off of this or you're not going to let us do this, or we're not going to give you these copies. They're in a tough position to do this to please all ends of a spectrum that cannot be pleased all at the same time. So I feel for them on that. What I don't feel for is, granted, again, you mentioned people get angry sometimes and they respond in weird ways. This, I think, is one of those cases.
Yeah, I agree. So, any viewers out there, please do not write to Record Store Day about this. That's something you don't agree. And just said, you know what, you guys are screwing Radio Wasteland. Please don't.
No, don't. And Matt did say that. He goes, I didn't ask people to write nastygrams to Record Store Day.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, what did he think was going to happen when he put the video out?
Yeah.
There are so many people who are unhinged in this day and age that it's just a given that there's going to be a hater popping up and saying, you guys suck. I'm never buying a Record Store Day list thing again. It's like, yeah, until there's something you want.
That's how it goes.
And you'll be in there. Oh, okay, Steve. This was an odd episode. We're usually so jovial and let's have fun with this.
Well, we did still.
We did.
We still talked about AHA, so it's all good.
until AHA comes down on us through their minions. We'll see what happens. You know what? It's a tough discussion, but it had to pop up at some point because of what so many people feel has been the decline of the Record Store Day lists from spring to fall, and so on.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes from here, and hopefully they can work together to improve everything for everybody, because CDs are waiting off on the side going, hey, it's time for our comeback. If CD is doing this.
CD Day. Yes, CD Day. I think everyone's going to get in a circle. We're going to sing Kumbaya and life will be good.
Make it all good again. All right, Steve. Whew. Okay, did we say anything that's going to get us in trouble?
Who cares?
I'm gonna give
let it run, Jim.
I'm gonna take the ban off of Treats for Blue laying down here, so I'm gonna give her something nice now. Right.
Very good.
All right, you folks have been watching and or listening to two guys talking about Record Store Day controversies, a vinyl community podcast. Till next time, my name's Jim, and I own a record store. I still love what I do, Steve, by the way.
And I'm Steve, a record collector, and I still love Record Store Day. I'm just not spending $1,000 anymore.
All right, Steve. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks again, everybody.
Yep. Bye, everyone.